Hello everyone, I'm Elish, and today I'm going to talk about the teamwork, how you can work collaboratively on the same project simultaneously. And for that I will use this project that you can see on screen. I hope you hear me clear, and the session started well. If you have any comments, please ask your comments, leave your comments below, and ask your questions during this show. I will answer them. And well, I will go through today through the main steps and the main principles of how to set up a teamwork project, what are the rules of working in the team, how to create users, and what are workspaces, working areas, how to handle them, and in general how this thing works. So the first thing that you need to know that every single project, whatever you already have, can be used as a teamwork project. There is one single step you need to do for that, and that is to be able to work in a team with that, is to convert it into a team project, to turn it into a team project that everyone can have an access to. So now what I will do, I will just go to the file menu and I will use the teamwork, and this is the new project here. Well, this is actually a command that will convert whatever you already have opened, should that be an empty project or a project with a content. It will turn that into the common ground for everyone. This is something, whatever was inside this project already will be the main body, the main core of the project. This is what should have the common walls, the layer settings, and all the floor structure and everything else, and also the geolocation, even the basic views. All those stored in the original project will be there for everyone, and everyone will have the access to this one as a so-called master working area. I will talk about the working areas in a while. So as you can see, there's also a reminder about that, but that's just a rule. So I actually created this project. Let me just quickly show you that before I actually turn this into a team project. So whatever you see here, this will be the common ground for everyone with all the 2D and all the 3D. And I think I will also set up, for example, a different view so that you can see that it's actually the whole building lot with all the buildings, all the neighboring buildings as well. So this is what we will work on. Now today I'm gonna simulate myself and my colleague Zoltan during this show. So whenever you see this icon appearing on screen, that means I'm simulating what he's doing, and whenever you see myself on the screen, that means I'm working on this project. So this is how I will simulate that we are working collaboratively together simultaneously on this project. So now that's the first initial step, just as I mentioned. Someone needs to start this teamwork project, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to the file, teamwork, and new project, and then once I read through this and I thought through that, okay, this is gonna work, that I don't need to add anything else, then I say okay, and I will save this into a location where everyone has an access to. I mean, this should be a direct access. I have a LAN folder here where everyone in this same local area network has an access to, and this is important. You can use a local area network access, or you can use some sort of VPN access file server, but you should not use cloud-based services, because those are not accessing the same identical physical file, but those are synchronizing and making local copies, which does not guarantee that we are working on the same identical status, and that can lead to information loss and synchronization issues. So this works when everyone has access to the same file that I'm creating now. So this will be, well, I will just derive the name out of the original name, which was Elata Nova. So I just type Elata Nova and I just name it like team. So when, for example, I open this the software, and on the starting screen I can see two multiple versions, the local versions that I started with, and then the team version. I can easily identify that this is what I'm willing to work on now. So I just name it, save it, and when I click on save, then the software asks me to add users. So to be able to work on this project as a team, I need to determine what sort of rules we would like to take and who are the users that I'm willing to add. Later on, I can make corrections, I can add or remove users to this thing, and also I can change the basics that I have just fixed at the beginning. But that is something that the administrator can do. Someone with an administrative right. I will talk to you about that in a while also. So let me just check if everyone sees me and hears me clear. That's nice. So I think everything is okay. So now let's go on and see what will happen from now on. So what you see here is the user administrator tool where you can add new team members. I will add 3 team members. I will add first Zoltan. I will use his short nick. And well, this is an option. You can actually use a simple login without a password. Zoltan told me that he does not need a password. He just wants to pick up his name and jump into the project. But if I will want to, then I can just type up a password here. So I just say okay, and then I add a new team member. This will be my other colleague in the office. And for example, I will add, of course, also myself. And for demonstrative purposes, I will also set up a password for myself. I need to type that twice. And okay, so now on, we have 3 members, 3 regular team members for this project. And when I say okay, then the software asks me to log in as any of those. Now I will pick up my identity, and because I have chosen to have a password, I also need to type that. And I say okay, so the software creates the master working area. So everything that's on screen now will be part of the master working area. This should be protected with a password. So I'm setting up a password because this is something that should not be as easy to change by anyone else by accident or by some sort of mistake. This should be the common ground, so it should be protected with a password. So I'm typing the same password twice. Yeah, and well, now the software tells me that this could take a while, and it's because now the software is just reorganizing the inner content of this project and making it available for the team. And it creates that that copy at that local area network drive in that folder which I've picked up. And from that point on, when the software saved the result, sorry, I will be able to actually share that with everyone. And there will be one last step. I will also need to add additional working areas so everyone can work on their own working areas that they pick. So I think that is done. We have the master working area. We have this project file saved. But the last step I can find in the file menu in the teamwork, and I can just use the the working area administration tool. And then here now I'm adding additional working areas. We have decided that we will work on this project in a fashion when each and every working area determines the kind of job role that we are willing to take. Like, for example, someone will create the surrounding, someone will work on the interior, someone will work on the interior version 2, version 1, and there will be something as for the architectural part and so on. And also for the MEP, for example. So what I'm doing, I will just add new working areas and I will name those accordingly. So let's say I told we would like to have something for MEP. So let's say okay. And I'm adding another one which is for the interior design. And well, I will add, now I will only add one, but indicating the number, this is an indication that I could create multiple other versions as well. And also I will add something for the, let's say for the architecture. Like additional architecture or something. And okay, and there will be something for the surrounding, for example. And well, I think that's all. So we have the these 5 working areas, and the master working area is the one that is protected with a password. And I've created all of them. And now I am the current owner because I have created those. So now I would have access to all of them, and I could work on any of those if I would like to. But now I just would like to publish this to the team, and then I will exit the project. So I will release my working areas, and everyone arriving to the office can pick up any of those and start working with that. And I will show you that how that works. So let's say, okay, I'm done with this. Say okay. And then the software creates those working areas, and then now I publish the changes like that. And then the software saves the content. It will publish it over the network. Just as an initial step, this will take a little longer than expected, than usual. But later, when the team works on the project, it will take the same fast saving. It will be saved fast, just as you would expect with any other project. So from that point on, you won't experience any slowdown or lag or anything else like that during your work. So this is what's happening now. The software is publishing the changes. And then now I'm picking up the identity of Zoltan. I will simulate what Zoltan is doing. And for that, I have an additional copy of the software open, empty. And then I will change to the other screen. Let me just quickly check whether the project is already saved with this previous one. I think, yeah, now it's publishing the changes. Great, and then now I'm just opening up a new project, leaving this one behind, and then now I'm not working on this team project. Let's say I'm in a new project, so now I left the team project. So now I'm going to the other program. Let's say this is the other computer where Zoltan is working. So now I'm simulating what Zoltan is doing. He opened up his computer. He has a new project, but he's willing to join the team and starting to work on the common project. So he's going here and he's opening this project. And let's just go back to the libraries, the documents, and here I have a quick link to that folder. And it's actually, I'm sorry, it's not here. It's here. So this is the LAN folder where I save the teamwork project. So I'm as Zoltan, I'm opening this up, saying okay, and closing the previous one. Yes. So Zoltan is starting to work today, and he has loaded the project, and now he can pick his identity and say okay. And then now the next step, that the software is loading up the project, and it will reveal all the working areas available for work. So now there is no owner on any of those because previously I have left the project and I released the working areas by that step. And then now Zoltan can pick up any of those. And we have decided that very likely he will work on the MEP. So he is just selecting that line and making it editable. And by the way, actually, this also makes this active. Well, why is that important? Actually, you can have multiple working areas at the same time, and you can just switch between those two, letting know the software that whatever you do now is falling to the MEP working area. And so, for example, something else like the surrounding, this is also something that he will use. It's also his property, and he's picking up the surrounding. And while I clicked here, it automatically made this working area editable, and also switch the active status here. So with this one, you can also activate any of the other working areas and make them editable as well. So now I'm not working on it. Zoltan picked up those two working areas, and then now when he clicks OK, then the software loads the version on the local area network, and then when it opens up, he will see whatever was part of the master plan, the master working area, and he can keep adding things that he wanted to. Like, for example, well, let me just set up, for example, an accelerometer queue so he can see better what he will do. and then I'm just switching to this one, to this to the layout, and then as you can see, I can see the same levels, the same floor structure, the same building, and whenever I click on any of those, I cannot, well, actually I cannot select those, but I can right click on them and the software will tell me that these things that I already see here are part of the master working area. So those are read-only, I cannot change them. Well, I can ask the administrator to change them, but I cannot change them, which grants the common ground to be protected. Okay, so let's start working. I'm Zoltan now, and I have picked up the surrounding working area. And actually, by the way, this is where you can actually switch between the working areas to work on MEP or work on the surrounding. Well, and the working area is not limiting it does not set up any physical boundaries. So you can access anything. You can draw items here, you can draw items here. It's your choice. It is not making physical boundaries. It is making kind of logical contexts that now whatever you do is it is protected while you are owning this working area, while you are designing things on this working area. No one can accidentally delete or modify something that you are actually working on. So let's see how you can add things onto this new working area to the surrounding. And for that, I will just make the previous floor visible. So because now I decided to create a few of those fans and the park lot here and so on. So I will just simply use the wall tool. Let me just set up a property for that. And well, I'm working in millimeters now, so I just set up a 1000 millimeter tall wall, and the thickness should be around 200. Well, and let's just remove the fill pattern. Well, I do not want to see hatch inside and so on. So I'm just literally really setting up a very simple set for this wall. And this will be the concrete fence around the building. And then I'm starting to create that. And I just use the wall tool, and I just start from here, for example. And I create this long section here. And also this one, perhaps up until this point. And I create this one as well. So I'm just creating those things that are my job for today that we agreed on, and I just keep adding those fence items and so on. And I create also the slab. Let me just quickly go with that as well. I just use this slab in sketch mode. Let's quickly create the inner boundaries. This will be the for the grass. Let's say it's an arc here. And this one, and that's it. And let me just change the material. This should be something as a grass surface. Let's just go with, for example, this one. Okay, and then well, that's cool. And I just quickly create a copy of this, and let's just Control copy and Control paste. Sorry, Control copy, picking up the reference point, Control paste over here. And I may just quickly create an offset for all the sides, and for example to up until this point. And then I just create a hole inside this one, create the hole, and then I just use this closed loop, which I already have here. So now I have a separate ring around it, and this will be actually made of concrete. And this will be, for example, the pavements or something like that, concrete. Let's just go with for example, this one. Okay, so it's just a really simple simulation of what my colleague is doing now. Zoltan created this pavement, the little park here, the surrounding, and now he is publishing his work. And well, then the same thing happens. Now the software saves the project, and then everything is published already. So now when I am arriving to the office back and I'm starting to work, and now still Zolly will work on this project. He's not closing the project. He is still having this project open, and now I'm arriving to the office and I'm starting to work on that same project. And let's see what happens then. So this is my computer now. And this is my version, and then let me just go back and open up this same project. Well, I actually have this in the history, so I can open it with the history as well. or from the starting screen. And then the same goes here. I need to pick up an identity. I need to log in, use my password. And then I can see that actually Zoltan is working on this one and the surrounding. So I cannot pick any of those because those are protected as long as he is working on them. And well, actually we agreed that I will change the interior design. So I will pick this up either by clicking on this one or on this one. And for example, I will also work on the additional architecture as well. So I just pick those, I will edit those, and we do not touch the master working area at this moment. I will show you when it's necessary and how it's done, but now I'm just working on these two. So let's say okay, and then let's see what happens. So now that Zoltan has created those changes, I should be able to somehow see them, refresh the content, and see what happens. And the cool thing with that is that I do not have to do anything. Just as soon as Zoltan saved his project, everything he created is automatically published, and it revealed for all the team members joining the group and working together. And whatever I see here now is a mixture of the original master plan, the things that Zoltan has created, and the things that I'm willing to add to this project from now on. So, okay, let's see what happens then. I start working here, and I will just add a few things. For example, I go to the warehouse, I download something. For example, to this point, I will just quickly go and use any of those objects that I already have. Let's just go with the table. And I'll just use this one and click and drag inside this one and paste it here. And then now what I see here, I have this object editable. It is on my interior design working area, and everything else cannot be touched, cannot be modified, because those are either part of the master working area or part of the working area that's in the property of Zoltan now. He's working on the surrounding and the other one. Well, actually there is one another tool which is useful for representing what sort of working areas those items belong to. And one is here, which I will show you soon, is the graphic overrides. And there is another setting that helps a lot, and it is for the item tooltips that you can find in the item settings. Let me just quickly find that here. It should be under this one. Yeah, this is the tooltip enabled. Now, if I enable that tooltip, tooltip is this one. When I just hover over my mouse over an item, I can see basic information about that, and I can see its ID, I can see its working area, I can see where it belongs to easily when I just leave my mouse over there. Okay, so now I see that actually this is mine. It is belonging to my active working area, so I can select it, I can change it. Now, well, I just disabled this, but it is there for your convenience. You can just easily turn it on or off using this tooltip enabled option. And whenever you want, you can just use that tooltip for this purpose. Okay, so I talked about how to start working, how to create the working areas, how to set up identities, and log into the team project, start working on it, make modifications, publish those changes, and then when someone arrives, you will be able to see those changes automatically. Now, let me just show you one another thing, how this synchronization works. Now, I am working on this one. I have added one noticeable thing here, and now I'm changing to Zoltan, seeing whether he sees this or not. Well, actually, let me just save this before. So I make sure that I already published those changes. Yeah, it's now saved, so I can leave this computer. And going back to Zoltan's computer, this is Zoltan. This is his work. And then, well, he won't automatically see this up until he is not reopening this project. Or actually, there is another option here, which is the refresh project option. This, if he pushes this one, he will, after a while, he will see what I have published here. But let me just flip it around and do the same thing with his work. So let me say that, for example, here I'm adding a few more items, and This will be building volume, for example, here, and so on, like that, and then it's done. Well, I will just use a very simple shape, so it appears over there. And I will change the material for that using something like this dark gray, and so on. So I just publish those changes, and I will show the same thing with my computer, that when I push the refresh button, I will see those changes automatically. So now Zoltan made a change on his side. We are still working simultaneously on the same project. We have all the same project opened at the same time on our computers. And then now I'm going back to my computer. And so this is what I see now, up until I choose to update what I see, refresh what I see. So I go back to this one. I'm in the teamwork. Just a second. Yeah, like that. So I just go here, and now I have this option, refresh project. Okay, so I'm clicking on that, and then now the software saves whatever I have created, publishes it automatically, merges it together automatically, whatever else change happened, should that be 1 or 2 or 10 other users. Now all the changes are synchronized to my computer, and I can see that Zoltan, indeed, he actually added that building part over there. So what I see here, if I go to the proper floor, this one, this is where actually he created that. I can see that it is something that I cannot change. I can see that it is part of the surrounding working area, and it is now protected because I did not take over that working area. So I'm still working on my copy. So Zoltan still cannot see my changes because he did not synchronize yet, but whatever he uploaded, whatever he published already, me and all the team members can see when we start working or when we hit the refresh project button. Okay, so, well, actually this is in general how it works. And well, there is another thing which I would like to simulate. And that is also sometimes, and especially when you cannot continuously stay in the same local area network only from time to time, you also need to be able to, you need to sometimes detach yourself from the teamwork, bring this, whatever we already created together, to offsite, to the client or something like that, show that, and then make changes, and then bring that back to the office or connect back to the local area network and publish all those changes. So this is a concept that needs something that we call the going offline option, which is actually here, this create local copy for offline mode. And this is something that Zoltan will do now. So I'm still in the office, I'm staying in the office, I'm working on this version, and now switching back to Zoltan, and he is leaving the office and start working with the client together. So now what he does is he actually will go here and say that he just would like to create a local copy for offline mode. Yep. And then now what happens, the same thing goes through, the software saves those changes, and now it tells me that this software is successfully detached from the team. Well, this still means that Zoltan is still owning those two working areas, and he still does not have access to the other working areas, but whatever he already granted for himself, he can make modifications. He can physically detach his computer from the local area network, going physically really offline, not just the project itself, but the computer itself. He can go off to the side and start working with the client. And now Zoltan is there and telling the customers that he surveyed a few things, and they agreed that, for example, here and there will be a few electrical switches. So now he is adding those things into the project. Let's say I would like to add a few of those electrical accessories, let's say simple plate switches, like for example this one. And I'm adding this to this wall, for example to this wall, and to this wall. Make note that I intentionally made a mistake and I added these to the surrounding working area. I will fix that later. I should have added those to MEP, but I just did not notice that. I'm off the side, I'm busy, I forgot about that, but I actually made those changes. So I added those 3 items and many others that we discussed with the client. And now I'm saving this project, and so I'm closing the laptop, I'm going back to the office, and I connect back to the network so I can see everything. But up until I do not push this button here to update my changes, I'm still with this project, I'm still offline. I'm still not connected to the team. So even though I'm physically connected to the local area network now, and I can physically reach each and every files, this is still kind of cut off the grid, and it is still offline. So I need to intentionally tell the software that I would like to update wherever I have created offline. So this is what I do now. I click on this one, and then I update my changes, and I would like to switch to online mode. Okay, let's say yes. And then now I see that everything that has been created is published successfully. I went offline. That also means that I have published everything. So now Illich is taking over, and he is looking at the project. And from time to time, I am on my computer, I'm refreshing what changes I have. So I just say, okay, I actually would like to refresh, and I heard that Zoltan entered the office, so very likely he already published his changes, and I would like to see what happened on the site. So this synchronization takes again a short while, but after that I will be able to see that he added a few things to the project. And well, this is what happens now. It automatically jumped back to the default floor, which was this other floor. So I just go back, and I can see, yes, those are the changes. Well, it was not that easy to pick up the changes, because I did not really see anyhow color coded or something that what was the change, what is part of the other working areas. So this is where an important thing comes in, that you can actually color code working areas and make them easy to distinguish from each other, especially when those are not belonging to you. So what I do now, I'm still on this ground floor, and I would like to color code whatever is belonging to someone else, not to me. And I just go to this option here, which is in the graphic override. Well, for example, I'm sorry, this is actually for the graphic override of the phases, and this is not the one that I'm willing to show you, because there is another graphic override for the working areas. So I need to go to the teamwork and working area administration. Okay, so here I have this list. I can see what belongs to me, and I have an option to set up the graphic override. And by the way, if I do not want to see any of those things that are part of other working areas, I can switch their visibility off, even if they belong to someone else. So the visibility is free to change. Editability is only there if the working area is not occupied by someone else. Okay, so now I'm willing to somehow visualize what is part of the MEP design and what is part of the surrounding. So and also I will color code master working area. So let's just start with that. I would like to see what is part of the master working area for the first site by simply using a dark red color. And when I hit OK, and I hit OK, then now the software tells me that, okay, now everything that you can see red is the master working area, is part of the master working area. I cannot touch that. See, my thing that I have added here is still black, and everything else is also black because I did not color code the rest of the working areas. So let me just go back, and I just use the same tool again, working area administration, and then I will color code the MEP part, which well, I think I will use something like a bluish color, and that will be something like this one, or maybe a little bit of tint of green as well into that blue. And yeah, that's it. And then I will just use the surrounding color-coded overridden, and that will be a definitive green like this one, so I can see that it belongs to the surrounding. And then when I hit OK, I have changed the color coding for 2 working areas. When I hit OK, I can see them color coded, and well, now I noticed that Zoltan made a mistake and he did not put this to the proper place, where as for me, I don't mind, because for example, I will not work on this, and perhaps I also disable the visibility. Or maybe it's very important for me that it should be color coded, so it should be falling to the place where I can see them blue, and so I can easily distinguish that those are part of the MEP design. So now I tell Zoltan that please update this, you made a mistake, move things from one working area to another one, and then publish those changes. Okay, so Zoltan got my call, and he is still working on his project. And he realizes that yes, I'm right. He actually put this to the wrong working area, so he should fix that. And also he can apply his own colors for color coding. Let me just show you that. So Zoltan is also changing the colors now, and he sees that okay, the surrounding should be overridden. He uses well, he also uses green, but he uses a different tone. And he's using the also he will use a color code for the MEP part, and he, for example, better likes a different tone of blue like this one, and he's working with this one, and okay, and he's also color coding the master working area with a different tone of red. Let me just say that, for example, well, this one, and perhaps this should be even half tone. So he can apply, that's the main thing here, each and every member working on the working areas can determine their own color codes and own graphical overrides for the working areas for their taste. So what I do now, Zoltan is accepting those changes, hitting OK, and then now he sees that, well, yes, that was something that should have been moved to the other working areas. So it's actually a tool that he can use now, as he owns both of the working areas. He can go to the teamwork and he can say that he would like to reassign elements to a different working area. And that working area would be the MEP working area. Say okay, and then now he selects the one, the other, then the other thing. He can use multiple other selection types, and when he hits enter, then now these things are moved to the MEP working area, which is easy to pick visually because we can see their change with the color override here. So now he publishes the change. He simply saves the project. It's very, very simple. It is designed to be simple. So he's just saving the project. That means he also automatically uploaded those changes to the team. And then now I'm picking up and seeing whether he did the change indeed. So I'm coming back here, and then now I'm actually doing the same thing I did before. I go to teamwork and I refresh the project. So that's what's happening now. This also means that I'm also publishing my changes, and I just retrieve whatever has been uploaded by other team members to the common working area, to the common central model. And let's just see what happens here. Now everything is proper. So this is how you can make changes. This is how you can fix things. Now there is a situation sometime you need to change things that are in the common ground, because, for example, there was a mistake and you need to change that. You need to change the roles. You need to move things from the master working area, sometimes temporarily, sometimes permanently, to other working areas. And that means you need to enter as an administrator. So let me show you now how that works. I will close this just for a second, and just well, this is Zoltan's. So let me just close this. I actually saved that, so I just closed my version. And then now what I do, I just reopen the project, I enter again, and I will show you what it makes me to be the administrator for a while until I would like to make those changes. So this is something that happens here. I just start up the software again, and then here when the software opens, I will use the history to open up the team project. See, it's on the LAN, so I just click on this one, and and then I'll log in. and I'm still not administrator just by simply logging in. What makes me an administrator, what makes anyone an administrator, is whether they can open the master working area or not. And this is why the password protection is important. So you should share the master working area password only with those that you would like to grant administrative access to the project's base grounds for. So I'm actually the one who created it, so I know the login to that, and I can just pick this up. And when I say OK, and I just log into the master working area as well, then what happens, the software opens up this project, and then I can have access to those things that were part of the original project, that were part of the master working area. I can remove things, I can add new things, and I can move these to other working areas if I have picked up other working areas as editable, so I'm the owner of those other working areas. See, now I can select those walls, I can make changes, I can do whatever I want with the common ground of this working area of this team project as well. So this is what makes someone an administrator. Make sure that you are not continuously working as an administrator, because then you can easily kind of damage things that should not be damaged. So this should be only for a few occasions when you really need it. And then when you don't, you just close the project, you publish whatever you have saved, whatever you changed, and then you close the project and you enter again, and do not take over the property. You do not set up the editability of the master working area. That will make you a regular team member. Yeah, so I think we talked about this and a few other things. Administrative functions here are the following as well. As an administrator, you can also convert this team project into a single user project. Well, this actually does not really convert the project. Instead of that, you can make a single user copy of this project. That means the team will still have the team project where everyone can have an access to. But when you create a single user project, then you actually merge everything into one single file without having to log into that file, without having to understand the working areas. So actually you simplify that down to one single project, merge together, and this is mainly good for archiving purposes. So when you would like to create an archive, for example, each and every day you just start the day with this, just you convert a single user project with this, which is suggested, then you will have those versions saved without having to know how to access the content of it. But in that case, it is also off the grid. So from that point on, it is a separate project which is not connected to the team anymore. And there is another thing when you would like to delete a working area. Again, perhaps this was an issue that, well, you didn't want it to create that working area. No one worked on that, and you would like to remove that. Or if something happens and by accident the user loses his login and he cannot work on that anymore, and for example the working area was also somehow lost and he cannot access it anymore, then he can delete the working area, and the software will automatically merge the working area content into another one that you choose, and then you can create a new working area and move things to that working area as well. So this is also for administrative management purposes, and also for fixing things if something goes wrong. Well, that's it. And also this is where you can add new users to this group and make changes the way you want. So again, let me just close this session up by simply leaving this project and then now open it again as a simple team member without administrative rights, and then now I can start working on that. So the main thing with this teamwork project that I've just demonstrated to you how to work on that is that we can access at the same time, simultaneously, we can access the same identical file. We can make changes simultaneously without having to worry that we accidentally make changes in areas that we shouldn't. And I'll just pick up this one and well, this one. and I will work on the interior design as well. So without having to worry that we will accidentally work on something that is already occupied by someone else. And we also shouldn't worry about how to merge these together into one single project, because that is all automatic. The software is doing that all automatic. You only need to worry about publishing the changes that you have made, and from time to time you need to refresh the project so you can see whatever else was changed by other team members. So that's it. In general, this is how the teamwork works. So let me see whether you have any questions regarding the teamwork, and see what happens here. Yeah, okay, so yeah, well, that's an important question. The first one I see here, the teams work over Google Drive, or it's need an access to a LAN. Yes, that's an important thing. You should not use Google Drive, any sort of other OneDrive or any other cloud services, because by behavior, by nature, how they are designed for the users to reveal those files as copies, as sometimes offline copies. And this can lead to information loss, just as I described. So instead of using those services which are not recommended to use, you should set up a file server, some sort of VPN perhaps with your colleagues, or just sometimes physically go in office, attach your computer, go online, make changes, and go offline then, and just go off the grid and do all those changes that you want, but without the cloud-based services. Okay, so the teamwork set commands, yes, those are not available from the ribbon menu, just as you saw it during this one. Those are here in the teamwork menu, and to speed up things, those are things that you are not using all the time. I use them quite frequently now because I demonstrated all the way how this works, but mainly you would use the refresh project option, and for that you can actually just for any other commands here, you can actually set up a shortcut. So to speed up the work, you can set up a shortcut for refresh, and then you can just push that button and wait for this project to be synchronized. Okay. There is another question. Well, someone asked that how to activate those commands, so that the commands are only active if you are working on a teamwork project. If you are working on a single project, you will only have access to the first one, to the new project, and the rest will be grayed out. So if you're not working on a team project, if you're working on a single user project, we can name that, then you won't have access to the rest of these, because first you need to convert the project into a team project, just as I described before. Okay, so yes, and there was another question: if the override colors are saved for each and every member. Yes, the main point. So the question was whether the override colors are for each team member individually saved, or are those something that can scramble up the other team members' color overrides. And the answer was what I showed before. Each and every color coding are belonging to the user, to the team member, and not to the master plan. And that guarantees that everyone can see the same world, the same content via their own filters, whether they would like to use any of those or not. It's a personal choice and a personal taste. But in reality, we realize that it is best practice to agree upon some sort of color coding. So for example, we usually agree in the office, whenever we use this feature, we use a tone of red for the master plan, so that when I go to the physical computer of Zoltan and he asks me for help, I'm not confused what I see on the screen, because I can see similar colors on his screen that I have picked up. Okay, for the history timeline, this is, well, there's no literal history or timeline. What I would recommend using is to create an off-site, an off the grid single user copy each and every day of the project for archiving purposes. Because, for example, if the storage has some physical failure, at least I have several copies from where at least we can pick up and start working. Even if those working areas are already merged together, at least we have the final project as it was created by the team. There is another question. The main architectural plan are only residing on the workstation of the one who shares and allows to access it. Well, no. Even though I've created as Ilish the master working area, Zoltan, if I share the access key, the password with him, he can have access to the master working area and he can make changes the way I did. The master working area and everything actually is published to the same central copy, which I have chose to pick up as a LAN drive at the beginning, and everything is synchronized there. So should there be a physical failure of with my computer, nothing is in risk. Only things that I did not published. So if, I don't know, my computer fully breaks and I can't even start, whatever I already published is available for all the team members, and nothing is lost except the things that I could not publish to the team. Okay, I hope I answered all your questions, and yes, and there was one another thing. Thanks for my colleague to answering that teamwork is not available in all the versions of the software. For example, it is not available in the non-profit version, but all the for-profit versions have this option available. Okay, and well, I think this is all. I cannot see any other new question coming up, and I hope I answered all of those. So should you have any other questions, especially when you see this webinar not live, but after this session is over, please leave a comment below, and we will answer to that, or send us an email. We're more than happy to answer any of your questions coming up regarding this webinar or all the rest of the webinars. And there is another webinar coming up. Let me share my screen. The following webinar that we will host for you is this one. This is the lighting plans. My colleague Zoltan will talk about how to create lighting plans, how to add those specific symbols, how to connect them together, and how to create a proper documentation out of that, and use them also for visuals in the end. So this is where you can find that. If you did not, please register here. And also I recommend you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you did not do that yet, because in that case you will be notified of our upcoming events and live events, just as like this one. I'm very happy that you had all those questions, and I hope I could answer and clarify how the teamwork works for you the best. Happy designing, and I hope you will share some of your works either designed in teamwork or as a single user project in the future. We are more than happy to see whatever you achieved, what sort of goal you achieved with the software. So keep those samples coming as well. We are always more than happy to see what you designed with the software. So thank you guys. I was here for the last hour talking about the teamwork, and next time my colleague will talk about the lighting design. Thank you very much. Goodbye.